This week, I was asked by a neighbor, who is also a friend, and a cancer survivor. I was asked to bless this blanket that she carried with her through her chemo treatments. She asked me to bless it for our mutual friend and neighbor who started her chemo treatments. At the same time, I was working on our installation for our elders and deacons and thinking through the scripture as well for this week. Now, for those who are watching, the scripture for today is the story of Jesus turning water into wine. It is found in the Gospel of John, chapter 2. Like many people I know, I often celebrate that Jesus' first miracle was turning water into wine. It just seems fun. But in reality, that is more bumper sticker theology than quality theology. Because while bumper sticker theology might be catchier, it won't hold water or wine when the realities of life, things like cancer, pandemics, lost jobs, tsunamis, and the ongoing realities of true poverty come into life. The gospel writer of John does not write to express miracles. Eric Smith reminded me as I was researching, the author of John writes to share signs that point to Jesus as the miracle. If we just focus on the details, we will actually miss the multi-layers of possible meanings in the Gospel of John that can help us to find the real miracle, Jesus. In fact, in this early story of Jesus' ministry, there are so many little revelations that can be found. It helps us do what Del Bruner translates as helping those around Jesus believing into Jesus. John is starting to build a case as to why those who are learning about Jesus need to know how big a miracle Jesus is really going to be. But it isn't Jesus who claims his miraculousness. He doesn't say, hey, look, I turned water into wine. Go get some bumper stickers. In fact, most people, if you read the story, don't even know or notice Jesus. They seem to notice the wine, but they don't know the story like the disciples do, and like we do. I mean, Jesus wasn't even going to perform a miracle, but then his mother started talking. Now, the interactions between Jesus and his mother are fascinating in these few sections of Scripture. It is one of those times when I really wish you could figure out the tone and the looks that are going along with what's being said. I mean, what we know is that Jesus' mother completely ignored what her son said as far as his timeline and just told that servant, listen to Jesus. Thus putting Jesus on the spot. And probably the servant in some way just kind of looking awkwardly at each other like, well, what do we do with that? And Jesus' mother somehow seems to have some amazing knowledge. But we don't really get to know what it is. We just have to trust it. So as the story continues, we discover as people, for us in another time, that traditionally the best wine is served at the beginning of the wedding. But all of a sudden, Mary doesn't want a world without. And this wedding celebration, as wedding celebrations do during that time, goes on for days. But did you notice what day the miracle, the wine from Jesus, was being served? On the third day. Can you think of what else happens that is the best and most miraculous on the third day. It reminds us early on that when we think the best has been revealed, when our jars have run empty, Jesus is the miracle who brings the best for us. And his mother knew that he was the one who could bring the best. And it is also here in John, in the Gospel of John, that Jesus is having another interaction later on with his mother, right before the sour wine is given to him, and he dies. All of these amazing little revelations, and throughout the Gospel of John, we continue to believe into Christ and seek to understand that the miracle of living water is standing right in front of us that can quench unbearable thirst. And this is much cooler, actually, than water into wine. It is Jesus as the miracle. Thus, this scripture gives a glimpse to the reader and even to us that hope is always present to be revealed. That when it looks like everything may run out, there is something more. And sometimes you just have to trust it is Jesus. I'm going to pretend for a moment that those friends in my neighborhood who say, "Oh, I sometimes watch your sermon," only watch the first few minutes of it. Because at no point when we have struggled with our friend's cancer, or when I've struggled with any of the difficult situations, will you ever hear me say as a pastor that I know what will happen? I've done too many funerals and know too much heartbreak to get stuck in a theology of God as a grim reaper. I don't believe that God causes people to die. Death is just a part of creation and the cycle and the circle and the time. But I do believe in miracles. Brad Franzen is an amazing example of that. And that miracle came with a lot of hard work and a lot of other little miracles. Little miracles, little moments, little steps of healing are what really change us into the great big miracles. And thus I believe in great big miracles because as a Christian I believe in resurrection. I believe in healing. I believe in hope. I believe that God is with us battling and planting those seeds of hope every day so that we as humans can find the miracles. I believe in it because of the man who will give the best on the third day, and no one may even notice that it was him. I believe because there are people who sometimes even need to remind ourselves and remind Jesus that Jesus is Jesus, so that we can all have a moment to have God's sweet goodness. I believe it when I see a group of women gathered around a pink blanket, and they anoint it with love, prayer, passion, and tears. The types of tears that need to believe that water can be turned into wine, and the types of tears who need guidance to know when it is time for gifts to be shared, enjoyed, and blessed. Who helps you reveal that God within you? Who helps you reveal the gifts in you as elders and deacons and laity and followers of Christ? Who helps you know when it is time to live, time to let go, and time to live again? Who helps you know where glory truly resides? And will you know that glory when it is present? And will you trust in Jesus to be that glory? These are the types of questions that this early story in the Gospel of John begged to be asked. These are the types of questions that those in this church, our deacons and our elders and our laities and all of us who follow Christ should continue to ask. We are called to be the bearers of hope and the bearers of good news, even in the face of much emptiness. So we continue to trust Jesus. Just as his mother reminded the servants, and reminded Jesus, and reminds us. And just like his mother, may we be reminded and remind those around us. Do what he says. He's got this. Amen.